WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Hello and welcome to Greenville Grit. I am Terry Williams.
And I'm Michael Overton. Terry, good to see you. It's been a little while since I've been on the show. PJ Conley's been sitting in for me and hopefully has been doing an okay job.
He's been doing great.
Well, great. I hope you guys had a good conversation last week with Terrence Copper and some of the exciting things going on in Greenville sports.
That's right, with the Premier Sports Academy.
There you go.
So we talked about that and the possibility of linking that one day with the sports complex for Greenville. So that was exciting.
I believe that Greenville and sports and what you guys are talking about, or what we're all talking about, that conversation leads a lot into what our conversation is going to be about today.
Good.
Which is economic development. We have Roger Johnson, our new economic development manager with the City of Greenville. Roger, welcome to Greenville and welcome to the Greenville Grit.
Glad to be here.
All right. He is trying to say, what are we going to talk about?
I know. We're going to talk about fun stuff, making money.
There you go. And jobs.
And jobs.
So
That's
we're going to thank the sponsors that provide the jobs, that provide the support for the show to go on. So thank you for your continued support, Greenville Toyota. If you're looking for a new Toyota or Scion or a new used car, go see Craig Gillis and the Greenville Toyota team. Reach them on the web at greenvilletoyota.com, in person across from Fresh Market in Greenville. I don't know if it's going to be Fresh Market much longer.
I heard that. They just sold out.
And then we also got to thank Ribeye Steakhouse. So if you're looking for a great steak, great atmosphere, and good times and fun with family, go see the guys at Ribeyes on the corner of Arlington and Fire Tower, as well as a location in Williamston, and the Overton Group Real Estate Professionals, serving all of Eastern North Carolina, commercial real estate, leasing, sales, and business brokerage, property management. And Terry?
Overton Residential Properties now, so we can help you with all your residential needs. OvertonResidential.com.
There you go.
Look us up.
Well, we're going to take a 2-minute commercial break, come right back, and we'll start talking with Roger Johnson. Be back in 2.
Eastern Carolina.
Welcome back to the Greenville Grit. I'm Michael Overton, along with my co-host, Terry Williams. Terry, like we said before we went to the break, there's a lot of things. We've really been discussing a lot about economic development over the last several months, and especially as we got through our election season and feel really good about the new people we have on the city council, because one of their biggest focuses in their running was economic development.
That's right, exactly.
We also gave a lot of criticism to the length of time it took to find economic development director replacement, but I think we found a good one.
I think we did.
Sitting to my left, Roger Johnson. So Roger, again, welcome to Greenville, and we're excited to hear more from you, but I think it'd be good to let the audience know a little bit about yourself, where you're from and where you came from, and what you're most excited about being here.
Well, I was born and raised in Kannapolis, North Carolina, a small town just north of Charlotte. It's spent about most of my young adult life there. Went to college at 2 different universities here in the state system. Undergrad at Appalachian State, grad school at UNC Pembroke. Found my way working all over the state, including Carolina Power Light. Went down to Florida, worked down there for about 10 years, found my way back to Wilmington, North Carolina, where I worked right before coming here for 5 years, working on economic development projects. And I think it's very important that I mention that I completely understand that the real barbecue has vinegar in it.
Well, I'm glad you said that. That was pretty smart.
Yeah, that was.
I don't even know where to go.
Well, we'd really like to know sort of what, looking forward when you were coming to Greenville, what were some of the main things you were thinking about that might be the same or even maybe different from what you were doing in Wilmington?
Well, it's very similar in the role that I'm playing, and I see a lot of similarities between where Wilmington was when I first started there and where Greenville is today. There's a lot of opportunity with the existing workforce that you have here, with the college, with a healthy medical community. I just felt like it's a lot of the fundamental building blocks were in place, and my daughter is a second-year student at East Carolina, so I got to attend an East Carolina football game and fell in love with Greenville when I did.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the football season already with our talk yesterday at the Chamber Luncheon. That made it exciting.
And just it's such a obviously ECU's continuing to grow and is a major economic driver to our economy here, but then they're discussing about a $70 million stadium expansion that will just take it to another level there, and hopefully we'll continue to get Greenville's on the map of national prominence in
That's
terms
right.
of on people's radar. So,
Oh, and also the passing of the bond last night. With the
It did pass.
It did pass.
Okay.
With the funding that'll come to East Carolina for their new project will be just, I think, big and
there's
will
$90
help so
million,
much. Yes.
I believe, and I believe
It's like
Pitt
a
Community
biotech.
College has got $5 or $6 million coming in.
Yeah, certainly that's going to add to the vibrancy of our
Exactly.
city as a whole. Obviously, East Carolina is a big partner in economic development. We work with them on
That's right.
several different projects, including innovation and entrepreneurship as we speak.
Right. That's exactly right.
Well, as you came here, let's start out with the easy stuff. Well, maybe it's not easy, but what you perceive really as our biggest challenges.
So when new businesses and companies pick a community, it's really not a site selection process, it's a site elimination process. There are folks spread all over the United States who look at Greenville from afar without actually knowing how Greenville is. So it's very important for us to market ourselves in a way that we stay on the radar screen as long as practical so that they can learn about Greenville and learn about the great things the community has to offer. Unfortunately, that's not how it works in the reality. I told a story to City Council, and I'll share this real quickly here, is that my first experience was to a local barbecue place, and when I drove up, it was 11 o'clock in the morning, it was pouring down rain, and the line was out the door. You probably know
Bees.
it was
Must have been at
Bees
Bees.
Barbecue. It looked like the place needed people to hold it up. And my initial reaction was, wow, what have I gotten myself into? Well, then I experienced what they have to offer, and I
Right.
got a better understanding for just exactly how good Bees is.
Right.
And I tell you that story because I believe Greenville to be the same way. People who look at Greenville from afar does not get to see all that this community has to offer.
Right.
We need to do a better job of marketing ourselves as a community.
Well, and I don't disagree with you there. And I believe, because I come from a background of sales, marketing, and a catalog or direct marketing business. And so
Right.
you have a product to sell, and you've got to get that product out there. So how do we do that? I mean, because there's no doubt, and Terry and I have talked about it a lot, really over the last year or more, of the challenge of that we are competing not just for Greenville, South Carolina, or towns and all over especially South Carolina now because they've been so aggressive, but towns across the country, we're competing against counties adjacent to us
Right.
for business. How do we make sure that people know that what we have, and how do we get above the crowd?
Yeah, well, there's a economic development magazine called Area Development Magazine that interviews and completes surveys for CEOs and C-level executives as well as site selectors, and they have a criteria, top 10 criteria of all things that site selectors look for. I'm proud to say that Greenville has all 10 of those criteria that would be
great.
important. Labor costs, distribution costs, proximity to ports, all the things that are important for many industries. Unfortunately, we don't get the opportunity to sell that part of Greenville the way we could. We are currently planning to work with Pitt County Development Commission, North Carolina Eastern Alliance to tell that message as a unified voice
Right.
and make sure that the world knows a little bit more about Greenville.
Have you found that the Pitt County Economic Development Commission has been receptive to actually working with the city and trying to make sure that we're all promoting and not competing?
Yeah, absolutely. We have just started collaborating more effectively with that particular group. We're planning to go before the board and ask for their collaboration on a couple of projects, a virtual building concept, among other marketing activities. We know the staff themselves have been very open to that type of activity, and of course they work for a board and they work at their direction, so we need to get final guidance from them. Don't expect there to be hurdles.
Right. So when you're looking at our community, based on your experience of where you have been before, what areas in the way of jobs or certain types of industry or business do you see as our weakest point that would make that 10 stronger?
Sure. Well, I'm going to answer that question in a unique way, is that
Okay.
we have two very foundational employers with ECU and Vidant.
Right.
And they offer very good jobs for our community. They're very much pillars of our community. But unfortunately, you have to have some sort of skill set to work in academia or in the medical community. So really what I would like to see our community to do is create a diversity of jobs for all people. And particularly if they can produce a good or service here locally and sell it outside of our area, it brings new dollars into our community where everyone benefits.
That's right.
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize that too, and that is the difference between part of the studying, especially on the commercial real estate side. Things I do is you're understand your basic and your non-basic sectors of employment, and you want to, what you just said, produce more than your local community can absorb.
Right.
So you're shipping it out.
That's
and,
right.
and bringing outside dollars in. And I know one of the things that Roger, Terry, and I have talked about a lot, there's just been so much discussion in our town and so much focus on bringing these retailers in and the jobs that they create. Now, part of my frustration has been, I've been in the retail business. I know what a lot of those employees make that are cashiers and that are helping out, and they are important jobs. But those jobs aren't creating home ownership. And they are a service sector, and part of my frustration with the city, and I'm really glad to hear you say it, and I'm excited about maybe where we can go with it, is creating those $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year
right.
jobs. And if you create them, the service sectors come as a reason for demand.
That's right. That's right. And it's also how we will keep the younger professionals in our area, which is one other thing that we've been trying to do.
Yeah, it's pretty clear to me you didn't apply for the job, because if you had, they may have hired you. It sounds like the fundamental principles of economic development.
Well, no, it is though, and I'm that's why I get excited when I hear you talk, and I am really, and I mean it from
Right.
the bottom of my heart. I'm excited to have you here, because that needs to be the focus of bringing that strong base of employment in, and we know that if we get that here,
That's right.
and we know that not just you're going to benefit as a realtor because you're going
Right.
to sell houses.
Sure.
I'm going to benefit as a commercial realtor because hopefully I'll be able to sell a building to someone. Everyone here is going to benefit
Everybody will
from having those
benefit
people
because
here.
we'll have a
city
bigger
will benefit
tax
from
base.
higher tax
That's
base,
right.
exactly.
So everybody can benefit.
And
It is-
then we can, hey, he doesn't have to listen, but then we can afford to build more parks.
Yeah.
So that's been our frustration. The parks
we can
don't
really
create the
afford to build a
jobs.
sports complex. So
Well, and that
we'll
is
get all
something.
the things that we want.
Well, but I'm big on the sports complex because
Me
I do
too.
think, and it would have a huge impact on what he's
Oh,
doing.
yes,
Is
absolutely.
It creates so many outside
That's right.
dollars coming in our community.
Exactly. So are there some certain projects or areas that you're really looking to magnify right from the beginning to
There
help
are.
us?
The first thing our staff did, and it's not me, it's a group of 5 people that work very hard for the citizens in the community, took a look at where we are and how we could better compete on a
Right.
regional and national level. And there were 58 active projects when I walked in the door to which Greenville could compete for outside companies to come here and create jobs for our
Wow.
community. They all had a special request for a certain site or building request, and unfortunately the city of Greenville does not have an abundance of available large sites that would be of interest to particular industries to locate here. So we were kind of marked off as a potential place to locate their business before we could get started. So our first goal has been to produce what an economic development community calls product, which is a nice way of saying sites or buildings that are ready for industries or
Right.
commercial properties to take hold. We're working on a project, and it was listed first on City Council's economic development agenda, called a virtual building, and that is just using 3D technology to demonstrate what a building can look like in a virtual world, and we'll market that to potential clients for high-end back office personnel.
Wow, that's really good.
But you're also looking to do, in addition to the virtual building, is that site ready program.
Yes, sir.
So why don't you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, many requirements are necessary before a site can actually be constructed on. And in order to get sites ready for future construction, the city of Greenville authorized, in partnership with Greenville Utilities, a Site Ready program where a private landowner could promote site to our particular city through an application process. And you can go to the City of Greenville website and navigate your way to the economic development page to apply if you're so interested. And it allows us to loan you as a private landowner money to get your site ready. Environmental assessments, surveys, any of the soft costs
Right.
associated with that. And the loan is not actually come due until 5 years after the loan has been initiated. The general idea is we want to make turn private property into industrial commercial purposes, and then hopefully the landowner will make money, the community will grow, and they'll repay the loan without ever actually having to pay any interest associated with it.
So if they're a landowner and they think they have a piece of land that may qualify for this program, they just get in with your department. I mean, some
correct.
people may have land and they don't know
Sure.
if it's something that will work for that type of program or
That's
not.
correct, and you could call our office at 252-329-4502 for more information.
Okay, because I would just wonder, all land won't be suitable. It'll only be certain areas, right?
Right.
So,
And
depending
a lot
on
of
the
but a lot
business.
of it depends on into zoning and
Right.
access, as he said, to highways, access to the
Right,
airport.
exactly.
general location. And a lot of it probably, too, depends on the use of the end user. And I think that probably leads me to my next question. I know Pitt County Economic Development is always kind of focused on the industrial user. What is the city of Greenville looking to focus? Are you all going to compete with PC ED on that, or are you?
We're going to refresh our strategic plan and hopefully work in partnership with Pitt County Development Commission. Currently, we're going to focus on high-value office operations, which are, if you think of major employers that need office personnel, you can think of software, environmental consultants, high-paying jobs that produce a service here and sell outside the MSA. We're strategically doing that so we don't necessarily compete for the same types of employers that Pitt County Development Commission has in their targeted industry sector. Like to differentiate ourselves so that we can complement each other.
Is there? How do we work with the state of North Carolina? Is there any incentives, or what was the regional group? Because I know they split us up a couple of years ago and kind of realigned us with the northeastern part of the state.
Yeah, I could speak to that if you like.
Love to.
We'd like to do that.
So a little over a year ago, the Department of Commerce split, and they went to a public-private partnership and formed a group called the Economic Development Partnership in North Carolina. That particular group works with counties and cities to help recruit new industry into your particular region. They do that by having a database called Access NC, and anybody in the world can come to North Carolina and see what sorts of properties are available, and then they market North Carolina in a broader perspective. They tell us about those opportunities, and we respond to those particular RFI requests as well. They also have a couple of programs such as 1NC and JDIG, Job Development Incentive Investment Grants, which if we recruit a company that produces a wage higher than the county average, and it is in concert with what would be in the public good, and we're in competition with another area, they will give an investment grant to that particular company to offset the capital cost of moving here. So, and we partner with them regularly.
So the current companies or industries that we have here, because we've been talking about bringing new businesses, but we also often, and we've had it in the news not so long ago, of our current industry expanding. Do we have any other expansions on tap that we maybe haven't heard about, or is in the talks about growing that you could talk about?
Well, the answer would be yes, there are, and no, we can't.
But that's good news nonetheless to know that the ones that are here aren't stagnant or going to close up and leave. They're actually wanting to expand.
There are many industries here who are looking for expansion.
So
well, I think that leads to, I mean, we do have with what has gone on with Maine Pharmaceutical and DSM, you know, some of the expansions they've done and the investments in the area that they've done. And it's good to see DSM finally really get into the expansion mode. That with ECU and Pitt Community College being here and a lot of the STEM focus that the university and the Pitt Community Colleges and even I guess some of the high schools are even trying to do.
That's right.
That we will definitely have that labor force, hopefully, in place to be able to supply to these guys.
We do, and one of the biggest assets Greenville has is that over 37% of the residents have a bachelor's degree or higher, which is very attractive to advanced manufacturing companies, to commercial companies, to back office companies. It's really a strong asset, and we're going to market that.
Yeah, we just have such a strength in our kids that graduate every year from this school, and you do have so many people come from outside of Greenville to attend here, and it'd be nice to keep some of them around.
That's right.
There's just a lot of talent.
Absolutely, and we need to create those jobs so those folks do stay in our community and add to not only just the character of our community, their intellect. The younger generations has a new way of looking at the world, and certainly that diversity of thought would bring value to our area.
That's exactly right. Well, this is really interesting. It's exciting to talk to you and to see that things are happening, because sometimes we just go along our daily life and people are driving up and down these streets that still need some repair, thinking about what.
They've started that process.
I know. They're working on it, though. Yeah. We have talked to him about that. Not him, but Kevin.
What is the latest from an economic development standpoint? I know there was some discussion, and well, originally this bond was supposed to include a lot of it, but trying to do more direct connects to the port down in Moorhead that eventually could also help Greenville. Is there any? Can you speak to any of that?
I don't want to speak beyond my scope of understanding. I do know that the city is working to connect sort of, if you will, an inner belt line that connects the employment nodes with the potential employees, so that folks can have the opportunity to go to a general transportation center and then find their way to the communities throughout the community where the jobs are. That includes things like the 10th Street connector. The city's working on a Tiger grant to sort of create somewhat of an inner belt line to connect East Carolina, Divided, and other employment nodes throughout the city.
All right. Well, I don't know, Terry. What do you think? Probably a good time to take our second break.
Great, and then I'll
we'll
ask
do
you some
that.
questions about
Take our second break. We'll come back and we'll be wrapping it up with Roger Johnson, Economic Development Manager for the City of Greenville. Be back in a minute.
Are you?
Welcome back to Greenville Grit. We've had an excellent discussion today with Roger Johnson, who is our new Economic Development Manager with the City of Greenville, coming here with fresh and new ideas and lots of experience to help us continue on with our economic development, we hope. So we want to continue with wrapping it up today with just a few more points that you might want to make about, we had mentioned in the break a little bit about the theater. That's the Uptown, in the Uptown, the old State or White, I don't know what everybody calls it now.
I guess it's back to the State Theater.
State
is what I
Theater
keep
now.
hearing,
So
but
maybe you could
I don't
update
know.
us a little bit about what's going on with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Redevelopment Commission approved some funding to help remediate some of the environmental concerns there, and in partnership with the Redevelopment Commission, some $300,000 in total is being invested in that building to both stabilize it and clean it up so it can be adaptively reused as a theater. Have some informal agreements for some private investors to come in, invest $1 million in there to turn it into a more state-of-the-art theater that can put on plays, entertain the people downtown, really place-making activity, bring more vibrancy to our downtown area. That project's proceeding nicely. It looks like the cleanup's going to be moving forward as planned.
Oh, that is awesome.
So is the deal done with, I guess, the Lincoln Theater Group? I know that's kind of been the rumor of who was going to run it for the last couple of years, but has anything been signed, or are we done and or close to moving forward?
No, sir, it has not been signed. That obviously takes local government action. It'll go through a public process of selection for who actually buys the public property. But once that's been done, we certainly would expect them to be a partner long term.
Go ahead.
Well, I also heard a rumor, maybe you can or can't speak to this, but there had also been discussions about a performing arts center through East Carolina University. I don't know if you know anything about that or any discussions.
There has been conversation. That conversation is being driven by East Carolina. So I don't know that it would be my place to speak about what their particular project is. But no, just like you, I've heard rumors and been part of those conversations.
Right. Well, just real quickly before we go, since we're in Uptown right now, let's talk a little bit about the Small Business Plan competition and where we are with that right now, which really encompasses Uptown, Greenville, and West Greenville.
That is correct. Those are three areas that you must put your business in if you want to apply for a grant for a small business. Since the conception of that particular project, the Redevelopment Commission launched that project, there's been over 70 applicants, and 35 of those have been funded in some form or fashion, and 28 of those lasted at least 3 years, and 25 are still in business today, creating over 100 jobs, either full or part-time. It's been a very successful competition, and I think you may have.
People want to get involved in that. How do they go about that?
Yeah, they can go to our website or go through our Twitter feed at GrowGvilleNC. That's at GrowGvilleNC. They can also call our Economic Development Office at, again, 252-329-4502.
And it is a process. It's not simple. You just don't go down and get the funds. They have to go through an interview process, and it's involved. So they do need help. They need guidance to get through it.
Their business plan gets vetted by professionals. They get counseling before they even come before the selection committee.
That's right. It's a good program.
I should have talked to them before I got into the real estate business.
No, then I might not have a job.
Let's talk about the Imperial. We're still talking about Uptown, but
Yes.
the Imperial Tobacco site. What's the latest and what's going on there?
Yeah, Michael, thank you for asking about that. That's right near Dickinson Avenue.
right.
The city owns some acreage there. We are under a brownfields agreement. We're working with an outside consultant to clean that up. Once we get it cleaned up, we're going to market it to the outside world for hopefully a job-producing activity and maybe even a commercial office place.
So possibly
great.
someone to build back on that area.
That's correct.
So-
To actually put some property there
That's
and
great.
bring different groups to our uptown area.
Okay. What else we had? We wanted to talk about Project Tool Up.
Sure. That was new
That was
to me.
another one. There's several
Yeah,
little things going
very
on.
new.
And I've heard a little bit about it because I am involved. I'm on the board of trustees for Pitt Community College, and that's an exciting program.
Absolutely, it is. It's a collaboration between the city and Pitt Community College. We have launched a program to train 25 people to be ready for manufacturing jobs. You can go to Pitt Community College to enroll. You'll get a career readiness certificate as well as a training completion. And at the completion of that particular class, they're going to interview 25 people for real jobs.
That's awesome.
That's great. Well, Roger, thank you. We're going to wrap the show up. So thank you so much for coming on. Again, welcome to Greenville. And if you guys are looking for something with economic development, give you guys a call. But thank you for what you're doing. And thank you again for Ribeye Steakhouse and Greenville Toyota. Until next week, we'll see you back.